I thought the defense had great energy. Obviously we tilt heavy run in some of these days, get some different schemes off, but I thought overall the energy from the defense was outstanding. This was part of the plan all along to give Matthew this day off, right? There's nothing wrong with him. He's good. This will be the only day that we'll approach like that. It was really more about just the amount of throws that he would get in a week's time, and so it kind of worked out well to coincide with a day that we were going to be a lot heavier run emphasis. Alec Jackson tweaked his ankle in the early parts of practice. I think he's going to be fine. That's why you guys didn't see him out there. But overall, like anything else, a lot of good stuff to be able to learn from. We'll look at the tape and see if we can bring the same energy overall defensively tomorrow and see if we can improve on some of the things offensively.
So Matthew will practice tomorrow fully?
Yeah.
In pads?
In pads fully, yes.
And why?
This isn't a hold-in, if that's what you're insinuating.
I mean, there's been a lot. We've had a roller coaster.
Oh,
here.
Gary, I just took your next question. No, this was part of the plan all along.
In terms of
you guys got to be kidding.
In terms of managing him, I mean,
yep.
Going into his 16th year, do you guys have to evolve how you manage his throws, or is this no different than last year?
It's no different than last year. I think really when you look at it, he's done an outstanding job. I think we have a much better grasp of, all right, just where he's at, in this part in his career. You don't ever want to have any of those elbow issues creep up again. He's done a phenomenal job of really taking care of it. But there is a certain amount of work that we want to get in a time, and this was part of the reason in terms of just the amount of volume. There's never going to be another part in camp when you look at it, or even in the season, just based on the normal rhythm. And so he had a great day the other day. Obviously, he wanted to be out here, but this was part of the plan all along, even before we started camp.
During the spring, a couple times you told us that Kyron maybe needs to have some kind of saving for himself, not work out 3 times a day. Have you had that conversation with him about what being smart, either in the off season or on his own, means, and what that would mean to you guys during the season?
Absolutely. And he knows that, Sarah, and I'd much rather it be that way, than having to motivate him to want to work a little bit harder. And so these are good things. I think he can appreciate now, having had that experience of the accumulation of the workload that he gets for 17 games, and then hopefully for thereafter, if you earn the right to be able to do that. But that's how it is for a lot of our guys. We want to continue to educate them on how to work, hard and smart at the same time. The importance of stressing yourself, but then getting the rest so that real growth can occur. And he definitely understands that. And I think it's part of our job to be able to kind of put in plans in place to be able to allow them to be able to create a rhythm and routine, especially as he becomes a veteran, in the latter part of his career.
Coach, when you look at Puka Nacua, as far as him having an outstanding season last year, coming into this season, obviously different season, different mind state, what were some of the things that you wanted to make sure he covered in the offseason to get him prepared coming into this season, especially this training camp?
The good thing, Nick, and we kind of talked about it, is you got a great example in Cooper Kupp in that room, and those two guys are attached at the hip. It's really continuing to work, really very similar to what Sarah was asking about Kyron. It's how do you take care of your body? How do you make sure that you sustain a program where you build a foundation, that armor, if you will, to allow you to be able to sustain? Everybody would think when you look at him, oh, he's lighter. He's actually not. He's the same weight. He's changed his, his body in a good way. I think he feels healthier. He feels sturdier. He looks like he's got better body control. And the most important thing is the way this guy works, and he's also stayed humble. I think that's what's really important, but love working with this guy, and I think when you have great examples, that's a really good example to see in somebody that models the way in Cooper Kupp in that room.
Coach, you guys, you could really see, hear, and then your words, feel the defensive energy today. Did you feel that was matched and reciprocated on the offensive side, or in a run-heavy day, is it more about installation and trying to play?
Oh, you know what? I thought, I think like anything else, if you're a good team, there's some back and forth. We had challenged the defense to really come out the way that they did, and I was glad that they answered the bell. On the flip side, as a head coach, there's going to be stuff you can't ever really be happy, but as long as it's good, clean football and there's competitive downs. Now, if we're making egregious errors, but hey, this is a physical game. These guys are the best in the world at what they do, so there are going to be some one-on-ones. I really felt Braden Fisk today. He showed up in a big way. I think we had some things in that were in alignment that fits his skill set to allow him to really thrive, and he took advantage of it, and there'll be learning opportunities, but I definitely felt like overall you felt the defensive energy. There were some times that it was matched, but I think overall the standards that our guys have for themselves on offense, it's not good enough, but that's part of what's great about camp is, tomorrow's a new day. Let's reset and let's try to do the right thing, and let's see if defense can keep that same energy, Jordan.
Coach, you guys have a very talented wide receiver room here. When you see a guy like Tyler Johnson coming out there and make plays, like what can you say about his performance so far?
Yeah, I've been really impressed. I think he's been one of the bright spots in terms of the overall improvement, a guy that's comfortable doing what we're asking. He's an NFL player. He can make plays. He's big, physical. You can see it. He's running better as well. You know, he's got great aggressive hands at the contact point, but I think he's doing an excellent job being able to work edges. You can see he was an awesome basketball player. He's wired to be able to separate, work edges. He's made a bunch of big plays down the field, and so I've been super impressed and super pleased with Tyler Johnson. He's definitely been one of the bright spots so far, without a doubt.
Obviously,
Go ahead. Oh, who the hell is this?
Obviously, you guys are based here, but 3 other teams from outside the area are in Southern California for practice. I'm just curious, like from your perspective, what makes SoCal a great destination for training camp?
I think the weather. I think, you know, you look at it, it allows you to be able to either practice in the morning or the afternoon. You don't have the humidity, some of the elements that you deal with. And I think people love football out here. So there's a lot of good things. There's some teams that have history and then some teams that are coming out here for the first time. But it's great for us because now we're getting an opportunity to be able to practice against a couple of the teams that are out here. Obviously, one of them is in this city, and then with the Cowboys coming out here and not being on our schedule. So I love it. I think it's great. And I mean, even when you look at the difference between driving out to the Valley or Woodland Hills and you feel that little breeze, there's going to be a lot more complaining from our guys in terms of how much nicer it is out here. So I think that's really what it's about, Lindsay.
is the one day of joint practice because day 2 is when some of the chippiness happens?
Yeah, that's part of it. And you want to try to set it up where, especially for us and really for these opposing teams, it ends up being a lot of work where it's focused on guys that you're, you know, for us, not going to play in the preseason. And for some other teams, they might not play them or they're probably going to play them minimal reps. And so that one day allows you to almost approach it as if you would be playing a game. You can really load up on those reps, but that's definitely, you know, part of it as well, Sarah, just because the unnecessary chippiness that can sometimes occur depending upon, you know, what the previous day looked like.
Coach,
I think they're both outstanding. Don't put me in that spot.
Coach, you guys traditionally have had more athletic offensive linemen. This year, you guys have maulers, some mean, nasty guys. What went into the overall philosophy in terms of personnel that you guys were looking for during the offseason?
I think those guys would tell you they're pretty athletic, even as big as they are as well. You know, really what ended up happening is the evolution. And I think really, you know, with all seriousness, these guys have the ability to be physical, but they're also athletic enough to be able to do some different things where you can stretch people horizontally, you can get vertical removal. There's a big emphasis on, you know, keeping the integrity of the interior parts of the pocket. And so I think you look at some of the success that we had with Steve, with Kevin Dotson. You look at a guy like Jonah Jackson, where really a lot of that intrigue started from, you're saying we hopefully can re-sign Kevin Dotson, and then you actually have the ability to maybe get both guys. I like our size at tackle with Alaric and Rob, and you know, I look at Joe Noteboom as an extension of that starting group. And so I think you always want to learn, you always want to be able to evolve, and really today is a good opportunity for us to learn. You know, we tried some different things. Some looked okay, and then some of it is, we might say, man, that's not a great idea by me, or we can execute it better. But I feel really good about this group. There's a long way to go, but if they continue to work, if they stay together, if we're able to stay healthy, I think good things can be in store for them.
What did you think of Stetson and Jimmy?
You know, I thought they both did a really good job. I think there were some things that were set up where we were a little bit heavier run oriented, but I thought Jimmy did a really good job. You know, he's got great command. You can see he's played a lot of football, Gary. Got through some progressions. I thought he made some really good decisions based on some different things that they had covered. Thought we got in and out of the huddle. And then I thought Stetson, you know, he had some really good reps, some things where we can be a little bit cleaner. But what you do see from Stetson is the athleticism, the ability. If we lose contain up front, he can break it and make plays with his legs. And I think that's good for whether it's our first group or our second group to understand, because there's going to be some guys like that on the schedule that we can't get lulled to sleep and just thinking they're always going to be in that spot if we lose the integrity of our rush lanes.
Last one, guys. When Byron and Jared get a rep outside together, immediately they're like talking with each other on the sideline. Have you noticed that, and what have their influences been on each other?
Well, I think Byron has done a great job, Jordan. He's got a quiet confidence about himself, and I think he's modeled the way. You see that on our shirts. But they really enjoy each other. You know, I think they're developing a pretty cool friendship. There's a mutual respect that exists, and I think Michael Hoyt's also, you know, been a big part of that room. Joe Caniglio does such a great job with those guys, and I thought Brennan Jackson has really shown up. You know, I really like some of the things I saw from him in some of the early competitive periods, and you know, that's a good group, and Nick Hampton has shown some good stuff as well. Okay? Thank you guys.
Thanks,
All righty.